يصلون وهم كفار أولئك أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يحل لكم لتذهبوا ببعض ما آتيتم إلا أن ياتين بفاحشة مبينة وعاشروهن بالمعروف فإن كرهتموهن فعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا ويجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا وإن أردتم استبدال زوج مكان زوج وآتيتم إحداهن قنطارا فلا تأخذوا منه شيئا أتأخذونه بهتانا وإثما مبينا وكيف تأخذونه وقد أفضى بعضكم إلى بعض وأخذن منكم ميثاقا غليظا ولا تنكحوا ما نكح آباؤكم من النساء إلا ما قد سلف إنه كان فاحشة ومقتا وساء سبيلا حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم وبناتكم وأخواتكم وعماتكم وخالاتكم وبنات الأخ وبنات الأخت وأمهاتكم اللاتي أرضعنكم وأخواتكم من الرضاعة وأمهات نسائكم وربائبكم اللاتي في حجوركم من نسائكم اللاتي فإن لم تكونوا دخلتم بهن فلا جناح عليكم وحلائل أبنائكم الذين من أصلابكم وأن تجمعوا بين الأختين إلا ما قد سلف إن الله كان غفورا رحيما
zo ka je ka danna ma abin recording don fara recording a waccan system ɗin ga ta can na kai ta can. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على النبي الكريم. ما قدمنا؟ يا كريم. Thank you. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyil karim wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to continue our classes. This is going to be the third class in the Islamic family law, which we are treating 70 cases in Islamic family law, a study based on Askari. Inshallah, today we are going to continue from where we stopped. As we may know, we have treated several cases, and inshallah, today we are going to continue from case 14, uh, which is marriage with the people of the book, that is Ahl al-Kitabi. It is clearly known to us that Ahl al-Kitabi are part of those who are agreed for all Muslims uh, to marry them. It is already stated in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم وطعامكم حل لهم والمحصنات من المؤمنات والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم إذا آتيتموهن أجورهن محسنين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has explained it clearly that the people of the book are permissible for us in terms of marriage. So there is no any problem in that. The only problem is that a Muslim woman is not accepted to marry a Christian or a Jew man, because we already know that الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا, that all the time the men are the superiors over the women. So in this case, it is not accepted uh, for Muslim women to get married to non-Muslim women. So this is very clear. But in terms of the Ahlul Kitabi, that is the, the men, Muslim men can marry to their women. So that is case 14. And the case 15 is marriage of a ill person, the person who is ill, and it is expected for him that he is not going to survive long. Then it is not accepted in that situation for him to get married, because if he reached the extent of being under special care, then it is forbidden from marrying. However, if such marriage is contracted and the person later recovers, then the marriage remains valid. What we are trying to see here is very simple. Like always, Islam used to consider what is going to be better for someone, and something that is not going to cause a problem, because a person who is very ill and they are not expecting for him to live longer, then it's not expected for him to get married in that situation, because Islam will look at maybe he is trying, or the person that is getting married to him is trying to inherit from his estate. So that's why Islam forbids that. So it is very clear that such kind of person is not accepted in Islam to get married at that situation. But however, in the situation whereby he got married and it is before consummation. So if it is before consummation, if the marriage is now annulled, no dowry is due. So that woman will not be given anything because consummation has not taken place. This is because the marriage is not fully contracted. But in the situation whereby it is after the consummation has taken place, then the dowry is going to be taken from 1/3 of the man's estate. We are going to discuss much on this 1/3 that we have been talking about when it comes to something like wasiya, and when someone is dying or is dead, you will be hearing that you should take from 1/3 of his estate and other things similar to that. The reason behind that is that for the legal heirs in Islam, they don't want you to leave your legal heirs in the stage of poverty, or in the state that they will be interested in other people's money. The Prophet said, إِنَّكَ أَن تَذَرَ وَرَثَتَكَ أَغْنِيَاءَ خَيْرٌ لَهُمْ مِنْ أَن تَذَرَهُمْ فُقَرَاءَ يَتَكَفَّفُونَ النَّاسَ. That is better for you to leave your legal heirs in a state of wealth rather than to leave them in the state of poverty. So, in the state of yes, poverty. So, what we are saying here is that since in Islam we will consider that, oh, this person is here to inherit from this estate, then even if that person, now let's assume that our minimum threshold of dowry is 200,000 and that person left 500,000. So in this case it is not accepted. It is not accepted. I can see some people raising their hands. I hope there is no any problem. So in this case, it is not expected for the legal heirs to allow them to give that woman 200,000 because the minimum threshold of the sadak is 200,000 and he left only 500,000. So since 200,000 has exceeded one third of 500,000, then it is not going to be allowed for that woman to get 200,000 as her dowry because the moment he died, he married her in the state of illness. So we will consider that he married her trying to make her permissible to inherit his estate. So we won't allow her to get that 200,000, but we are going to divide his 500,000 into three and give her some part of it. So let's take care of this, please. When you are ill and you are thinking that you are not going to recover, then it is not accepted for you in that stage to get married. And something is that when you get married, when you are ill to a person, to a wife, and you died in that illness, then that wife is not going to inherit from your estate, please. She is not going to inherit from your estate because Islam will consider her that she is here to inherit your estate. So option to defect, that is case 16, which is very important. I asked a question similar to this here today in the group, and many filled the question. So what we mean by defect here is khiyar al-aibu, whereby uh, 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 you marry a woman and you discover, or a woman marries a man and she discovers that he has a problem. This problem are categorized into different aspects, which we are going to treat today, inshallah. So, if either of the spouse get married and they discover a defect in the other party that was not known, this is the condition. That defect is not known at the time of marriage, then the ruling is in place to protect the interests of both spouses and to ensure fairness in marriage. So this is why we are going to discuss this, which is very important. So we have the definition and conditions. These are part of it. If a spouse discovers a significant defect in the order that will affect the marital relationship, either physical or mental, and he was or she was unaware of it before the marriage, then they have the option to annul the marriage. Also, the defect must be a serious one that is going to affect the ability to fulfill marital obligations such as sexual intimacy or companionship. So we are going to take this defect one after the other and see that, oh, this defect is going to prevent marital obligations, then it can annul marriage due to this defect, but with the condition that this defect is not known before the marriage. So in this case, either of the party is having the right to annul the this thing. So rights of annulment, both the husband and wife have the right to annul the marriage if they were unaware of a defect that existed before the marriage. But there is some differences in terms of the husband and the wife, which we need to know, which is very important. As you can see, for the case of the wife, if a defect occurs after the marriage, she retains the right to recall to request an annulment. So in this case, the wife is having a higher opportunity and a higher advantage than the husband. Because as a wife, when you marry to someone, when you marry to someone, okay, he is in the best of his health, but after marriage, you discover a defect with him, and that defect occurs after the marriage. It's not before the marriage, it occurs after the marriage. So still as a wife, you have the right to retain, or you have the right to request an annulment, that you can say that, look, sir, I'm not interested in this marriage anymore. So please, I cannot continue staying with you. She can tell him that. But for the case of the husband, the right of annulment uh, typically applies only to defect present before the marriage contract. What we are saying here is very simple, is that it is only in the situation whereby that defect is before the marriage. But if any defect comes after the marriage, then he don't have any chance to claim that he cannot continue sitting with that his wife. So he don't have that. He don't have that right, please. So let's take care of these things. So the scholars have classified these various defects that may allow one to have the option to annul the marriage. We have many of them, so we are going to be taking them one after the other, inshallah. Okay, so as you can see, we have physical defects, which include the impotence, contagious diseases. We also have mental health, which includes severe mental illness. We have serious character flaws that harms the marriage. So the defects that grant the option include insanity, leprosy, castration, impotence, sterility, erectile dysfunction, genital malformation, severe odor, and vaginal or rectal damage. All these things, when you find it with one of your spouse, either of the spouse have the option to annul the marriage. So you can see we have insanity, which applies to both spouses. We have leprosy, it applies to both spouses. We have vitiligo, which we call albaras. Albaras, it can be applied to both spouses, which is the loss of skin pigment resulting in white patches of the skin. So we also have, okay, these that we have classified them are based on only, okay, they are for the both spouses. It can affect any of the spouses. But these ones that we are going to list now are for the case of the men, or you can say the case of the husband. So for the case of the husband, we have castration. When you realize that the husband is castrated after the marriage, then you have the right to annul the marriage. You cannot continue staying with him like that. We have sterility. We have erectile dysfunction. This is or these are all characteristics of the defects that can happens to the husband. We have impotence, as you can see. We have erectile dysfunction also. Uh, these are also defects that are applied to the husband. For the case of the wife, we have vaginal obstruction. We have genital malformation also for the wife. So we have vaginal or rectal damage. We have many of them, but what we are interested in knowing here is that there's something very important. These are part of the things that we need to know. So note, if the wife willingly cohabits with the husband, knowing about the defect, or if he consummates the marriage while aware of the defect, they no longer have the option to annul the marriage. Okay. What we are saying here is very clear and straightforward. When you got married to him, and you discovered that he has this kind of problem, you have to report or make an agreement with him, that is the husband, that look, my husband, I am not aware of these problems we are having before the marriage. Now that we have gotten married, I have realized that you have this so kind of problem, which I cannot exercise patience on it. So in this case, sincerely, I cannot continue this marriage. So you tell him this and you annul the marriage, you have that right. Or for the case of the husband who found his wife with such kind of defects, then he has the right to annul the marriage. But in the situation whereby either of the spouse consummates the marriage while aware of these defects, so in this case, they no longer have the option to annul the marriage anymore. Since you have had a consummation, that shows that you have agreed with this defect that you found in this your spouse. So in this case, you don't have any option anymore. So please let's take care of this. Okay, second, in the case of separation due to defects, it is carried out through divorce. Why do we say through divorce? Because we have different kind of separation. A separation can be through al-fasqu, which is annulment and annulling the entire marriage, or fasqu, which is divorce. The reason behind that is that when you divorce someone, you have the opportunity to marry him again. But in the case whereby it is annulment, then that means that you have destroyed the entire marriage. So in this case, when you find a defect with either of the spouse, you make it through divorce and not annulment. Because if it is divorce, you can marry him again. Okay. But there is no dowry before consummation. You have agreed to give her 200,000, but after realizing this defect, then you are not giving, since it is before consummation, you are not going to give her anything. In the case of impotence, she has a right to present her case to the judge. She realized that her husband is having an impotence, then she can present that to the judge. Then a waiting period is good of 1 year is going to be given for a free man. That is the man who is not a slave. And a half, that is 6 months for a slave to seek for a cure. The husband can be given an opportunity of 12 months to go and seek for medicine, to go and meet and have a medical attention. Okay, so uh, Engineer Mazamaza, I don't know if you are raising your hand.
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, raising my hand. So, can you?
Okay, so part
Hello?
4 or 5,
Hello?
they will be left together. That is after he went and trying to seek for medical attention. They will be left together to observe his intercourse abilities. That is the husband. If he is able to consummate the marriage, fine. If he is not able to consummate the marriage, then that marriage is going to be separated. But in the situation whereby he claims consummation, so if the wife is not a non-virgin wife, then her case is that if she is not a if he claims consummation, if she is a virgin, she is examined by women. Then women will look at her that is this marriage consummated or not. So all this Islam is trying to bring this so that no one is going to be cheated in terms of marital affairs. So uh, if the period passes, that is the 1 year that is given to him, passes without being able to consummate the marriage, and she chooses separation because she can choose to continue staying with him. Maybe she realized that he is well enough, that she is going to enjoy his money or something else, then she can decide to continue staying with him. But if she feels like, look, like I cannot continue staying with him, then the marriage is going to be separated. But her option of separation is restored. What we are trying to say here is that whenever she feels like, look, I want to go back to my husband with that defect he is having, then she is free to do so. Annulment is not granted for defects other than this unless there is stipulation of health in the contract. Uh, uh, this is very important. You can see annulment. This is based on the question I asked today that a husband cheated, or let me say cheated his spouse. He showed her that he's wealth enough until after the marriage she realized that he is poor, but he is able to feed her 3 meals a day. So that problem that he had with the wife. Maybe he want to impress her with her wealth, but it is all something that he went and rented them. Then she don't have any option here because it is not part of the defects that she can seek annulment. We can just call him something who does not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his ruling is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but she don't have any option. As far as going to be able to feed her 3 times a day, then she don't have any option. So please, ladies should try and look at the person they want to marry and search a thorough searching before they find themselves in this situation. So we also have in case 17 deception regarding religion and freedom. This is very straightforward because in this case, either of the spouse decepted the other one that, look, I'm a Muslim, but after he married him, he realized that he is not a Muslim. So in this case, the marriage can be annulled. Just straightforward, it can be annulled. Like a slave woman claiming to be a free woman. So in this case, the marriage is going to be annulled. We have other examples like here, example about religious conversion. We have a scenario here. A Muslim man, Hassan, marries Layla, who claims to have converted to Islam. Later, Hassan discovers that Layla never actually embraced Islam. So the outcome is straightforward. Hassan has the right to annul the marriage due to deception regarding her faith. So this deception that we are talking about, if it is concerning faith, then uh, uh, you have the right to annul the marriage. Slave woman claiming freedom scenario: Umar marries Zainab, believing she is a free woman. He later learns that she is a slave. Outcome: Umar can annul the marriage because the contract was based on misinformation about her status. Like something we need to know here is that why we don't want a Muslim free man to marry a slave is that is slavery used to follow a mother. In the situation whereby you married a female slave and you had a child with that slave wife, then all your children are not free children. They are slaves to the master or emancipator of that your wife. So let's take this thing very serious. But since we don't have it here mostly in Nigeria, but you should be. That's why we don't want slavery. Slavery is not something that is encouraged because all the children that your slave woman is going to bring for you, they are going to serve as slaves to her master. So please don't marry a slave woman. Rights of a freed female slave. A female slave gains the right to annul her marriage upon being freed while married to a male slave. Like they are both slaves, but she got emancipated. So she has the right to annul the marriage and said that, look, I cannot continue stay with you. This is clearly stated in one of the hadiths. And here is the ruling for a person who embraces Islam. Like in Islamic law, the rules concerning marriage for someone who embraces Islam while already married aim to ensure compliance with the principles of faith and protect sanctity of marriage. So what we need to know is continuation of marriage for spouses embracing Islam. Okay, now, when a non-Muslim couples embraces Islam together, their marriage remains valid. This is very clear. Both of them embraces Islam. So their marriage remains valid and they may continue their marital life as long as it confronts to Islamic law. However, if the wife falls under a category that Islam prohibits for marriage, such as a close relative like an aunt, like whereby someone is married to his aunt because they are all in a religion, not Islam, and they all now reverted to Islam, then automatic that marriage is annulled as they embrace the Islam because one cannot marry his auntie. Also, we have limitation of wives for a new Muslim. If a person embraces Islam while being married to more than 4 wives, he is required to choose only 4 of them. Yes, he has to choose 4 of them, and the other ones have to remain to exercise patience due to the verse فَانكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا فَوَاحِدَةً أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ ذَلِكَ أَدْنَىٰ أَلَّا تَعُولُوا. We have conversion of a non-Muslim wife to Islam. If a person embraces Islam while married to a woman that is not from the people of the book, that is Christianity, and later embraces Islam within a short period, she remains in the marriage. Like he reverted and she followed him after 3 days, their marriage is still valid. But if it takes a long time and she is not one of the Christian or Jewish people, then the marriage cannot continue to be valid. So here, wife's conversion to Islam before husband. If the wife embraces Islam before her husband and before the consummation of the marriage is annulled. Why? Because a Muslim, we explained earlier that a non-Muslim cannot get married to a Muslim woman. So here we have case 20, which is ruling on captives and their marriage. So here, those who became enslaved, and they must not necessarily be captives. Now that we have kidnapping in Nigeria, this is going to work for them. There is no valid marriage between captives, those who became enslaved. Like this is the situation whereby they become enslaved before they were being married, but now they are turned enslaved. So their status is very straightforward. Because now their legal status has changed. Before they are free people, but now they are now enslaved. So their ruling is different. Now we have the case on dowry. No maximum limit for dowry. So if you wish, you can give your wife 10 million, 20 million, as you may wish. وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ صَدَقَاتِهِنَّ نِحْلَةً. But dowry has a minimum threshold, which it changes due to the value of gold, and now it is almost 200,000. You cannot just come and wake up and give a woman 20,000 as her dowry, because some of the although some of the scholars have that view, but we don't agree with it. Dowry has to be rubu dinari, that is quarter of dinar, which is almost 200,000 now. You should not go beyond that, please. Forms of dowry, when we are talking about dowry, it mustn't be money. The dowry can take various forms, such as goods and services. You can give her a car as her dowry, a house as her dowry, a gold as her dowry, a laptop, as far as the threshold is above 150,000, or the minimum threshold of the dowry. Middle ground for dowry. The dowry should be a set of reasonable amounts taking into account the social status of the bride, her family, and her peers. The dowry is only based on her relatives, though it reflects the societal expectation of her community. What we are trying to say here is that, like, It is not all women that accept the same dowry. Maybe those that are staying in the cities, like the women staying up in Abuja, their dowry might not be necessarily the same with those staying in one town that is not even known. So it is not a problem whereby you realize that the dowry of the ladies in Abuja is 500,000, while those in Katsina is 200,000. So it is not a problem. It's based on what you agreed between you and the wife. So there is nullification of marriage with an invalid dowry in the situation whereby the dowry you gave her cannot be owned, such as something impermissible or non-transferable. In the situation whereby you just went to a river and you saw one fish, one big fish, and you said that, look, that fish is your dowry if you accept. We cannot accept that as far as Islamic law is concerned. Or one of your cars is stolen, then you said that, oh, that my stolen car should serve as your dowry. We cannot accept that. But the situation whereby the marriage is contracted is going to be nullified if consummation has not taken place. However, if consummation has already occurred, then the marriage remains valid and the bride is entitled to a reasonable dowry that reflects her social standing. What we are saying here is that you said that, oh, that's my stolen car is your is your dowry, and that stolen car is not gotten, is not found, then you have to give her something since consummation has already taken place. You have to give her something for her. And that marriage is going to now be valid, but you have to give her something. How much are we going to calculate that you are going to give her? Then that should be based on her status. You look at her status and see, oh, this lady can reach 500,000, she can reach 300,000. Then you made an agreement on that. So all women have their values, they have their social classes. As you see them, you can say that, oh, this one can reach 500,000 or so. Emancipation as dowry, just for the case of slave, you can free a slave, like how the Prophet did with Safiya, وَجَعَلَ إِتْقَهَا صَدَاقَهَا, that he set her dowry as her emancipation. We have conditions for additional dowry. If there is a condition for an additional amount above the initial dowry during the marriage contract, such a condition is valid. What we are trying to say here is that when you are getting married to your wife, you agree with her, like, look, my dear, I'm going to give you 300,000 now, but after the marriage, I'm going to add 500,000 for you, and or I'm going to buy a car for you. This is agreed. As far as the minimum threshold is fulfilled since from the beginning of the marriage, then any agreement you made with her concerning additional of marriage is going to be considered. Okay. So case 22 is ruling on the separation of contract and dowry in marriage agreement. Payment of dowry, expediting payment before consummation. It is as recommended to expedite the payment of dowry before consummation of the marriage. Please give her her dowry before consummation. The wife has the right to refuse consummation until she receives the immediate dowry. She has that right. You agree with her that I'm going to give you your dowry immediately after you are taken to my house, and she's taken to your house. She asks for her dowry and you started telling her stories, then she has the right to refuse consummation, please. But she cannot refuse consummation for a deferred dowry. In the case whereby Dama, since from the beginning, it is already agreed that this dowry is going to be deferred in 1 month, in 3 days, in 1 week, then in that she don't have right, because it is already mentioned since in the marriage contract that this marriage is contracted ajalan, not nakadan. You'll be hearing them saying nakadan, not ajalan. So if they said ajalan, not nakadan, then that means that it is deferred dowry and it's not going to be given now. Okay? So Furthermore, she has no right to refuse intimacy with her husband after she has already granted him already. Okay, what we are saying here is very clear. Like, she already agreed with him since in the first day. So since she agreed, when he comes for the second time or for the third time, she don't have any right to say that, no, I'm not going to agree with you anymore until you give me my dowry. As far as you let him for the first time, then you don't have any chance to deny him again. Very important here, annulment due to financial inability. If a husband is unable to pay the dowry, he becomes financially incapable before consummation. The wife has the right to annul the marriage. He is a civil servant. The day you were contracted your marriage, he becomes fired and he don't have anything to do again. You can say, see, my dear, I'm sorry, I cannot continue sitting with you. So please let me go. So, this right of annulment protects the financial right of the wife if the agreed terms are not met. So now we have dispute over regarding dowry. In the situation whereby they have dispute, he said, I agree with you that I'm going to give you 100,000. After the marriage, your husband said, I mean 100,000 naira. Then the wife said, no, you are me. In my own case, I'm referring to $100,000, which does not make any sense. Then there's a dispute. So in this situation, both parties are going to take an oath, then the marriage is annulled. Because she claimed that you must give me $100,000, and him, he said it's 100,000 naira I'm referring. Then both of them should take an oath, and then the marriage is now annulled. They will separate, everyone will take his leave. But in the case where one party refuses to take an oath, because here the woman is likely to be telling the lies, whereby she claimed $100,000, she refused to take an oath, then the claim of the party who did take the oath is upheld. Then in this situation, he's going to give her 100,000 and the marriage is going to be upheld. Disagreement over the amount after the consummation. Then here, after the consummation, the husband claim regarding the dowry is given, is given precedence. What we are saying here is that it is after the consummation that the husband claims that, look, I have given her her dowry. But the wife said that, no, he did not give me, he has not given me anything. So since it is after the consummation, the husband is likely to be the one telling the truth. So his claim is going to take precedence. But if dispute arose regarding whether the dowry was received before consummation, then the wife's claim is considered, whereby the consummation has not taken place. Then the wife said, like, he did not give me my dowry, and the husband said, no, I have given her, but she refused me consummation. Then the wife is likely to be telling the truth. Then her claim is going to be considered. Please get the difference between these two, because if he has given her the dowry, she may likely allow him for the consummation. And when she is not given, she may likely not allow him. So that's why Islamic law agrees on this. So we have customary testimony prevails in dispute about dowry, like maybe in Hausa, the Hausa language, the dowry used to be given before the consummation, but maybe in another tribe is that the dowry used to be given after the consummation. Then that customary testimony is going to prevail in terms of that dispute. We are going to look at that and see that what is happening concerning their customary testimony, and we agree on that. Condition for completion of dowry: as far as consummation is taking place, then the dowry must be completed. The dowry must be completed. Immediately you consummate your marriage, you must give her complete dowry, or after the husband's death. After the husband's death, the dowry must be given. I have asked this question sometimes back, that immediately a marriage is contracted and the husband had an accident and died, even before consummation, the wife is going to be given her full dowry. The one wife is going to be given her full dowry. But in the situation whereby before consummation, she's going to inherit only half of the dowry. As you can see here, the dowry is divided into half if divorce occurs before consummation. If the separation is initiated by the wife, that is khul'i, except in cases of relinquished temlik, which we are going to treat in subsequent part, then this is going to be the case. When the wife is the one who initiated this thing, the separation of the marriage is not going to be given. A wife can waive some portion of the dowry for her husband because she loves him, as far it does not go beyond the threshold of the minimum threshold, which is rubu dinar, in around 200,000. So if she was given 500,000, she can give him 300,000 back. So inshallah, we are going to continue from this case in our next class. So we are going to entertain questions, inshallah, in the last 9 minutes or 8 minutes we have. Assalamu alaikum.